Hello, everybody. My name is Payne, and today I am joined once again by PvP Steve, the local king of PvP content. You may have caught him on the Sylph Factions channel this past couple days ago, covering some factions matchups. Very good at his craft, very good at PvP, very good with the knowledge, and he's here to help us commentate the Duelist matchup, the round 3 feature matches for Duelist Cup Mazerlandogs versus Wasted Potential. If you're not familiar with the Duelist format, I'll give you a super pedestrian breakdown. Basically, there are teams of 3. There need to be 18 unique Pokemon, so 6 different Pokemon on each of the teams. You have a predetermined pool of Duelists that you select 2 of, and then there's no overlapping typings with the rest of the Duelists. Monotype Pokemon are banned, and there's a lot of different fun things you can go. So pretty in-depth, pretty complicated format. I won't bite your ear off too much. I've explained it before in a previous video and in the last video for the round 1 feature matches we did. I apologize about skipping right from round 1 to round 3. I had all of my stuff ready to go for the round 2 feature matches with Mazerlandogs and the blue team, and then I deleted everything. I just went ahead and deleted it from my folder, and it was all gone, and that sucked. So in order to make sure that I'm at least maintaining some kind of schedule, we're going right into round 3. We've got a great feature match for you today. Like I said before, we are going to be taking a look at Mazerlandogs versus Wasted Potential, so let's hop into those team overviews. So here we have the 2 teams in question on Mazerlandogs. We've got Rise to Occasion, Burnobus, and Hot Pocket 777, and then over on Wasted Potential, Gengineer 6, 23 GB, and MasterOllie. Steve, these teams are absolutely stacked. Look at all of the Legend tiers. Look at all of the Platinum Factions players. Why don't you give us a quick breakdown over on the Mazerlandogs side?
Yeah, so Mazerlandogs is quite possibly one of the most stacked teams in this entire Duelist tournament. Because not only have they got, Rise to Occasion, global number 3, global number 9, US number 3, they've also got Hot Pocket, who is global number 12, US number 5. And not only that, they've got Burnobus, who is global number 13, US number 6. So they have 3 of the top 6 in the United States, 3 of the top 13 in the world on the Silver Arena rankings. So there's a little bit of skill going around. I know Rise and Hot Pocket are both going to be running into the World Championship prelims, the World Championship Challenge in a few weeks' time. So there's some serious stock here, and I'm not sure where the name of their team comes from. Mazerlandogs. I'm not sure if they've got one word in each. I know Rise is a part of Mazer Gaming, famously. Maybe Burnobus has put in the land and Hot Pocket's put in the dogs. We'll have to find out later. But they've definitely got some very interesting teams here that we can get into in a sec. But first, who are we looking at over in Wasted Potential?
So on Wasted Potential side, we've got 3 players playing in one of the top factions in the Diamond tier over in EU. As far as European teams go for this tournament, we've got stacks all over, but Wasted Potential is certainly up there with one of the best. And again, 3 super unique teams. I can't help but be pulled to the Lugia that Gengineer's got on his team. Getting into a little bit of the breakdowns, I've got a soft spot for that Pokemon. I absolutely love that Pokemon. Just recently got my own Great League IV Lugia, so I will do my best not to be biased in my commentary, but my heartstrings are being pulled by that Pokemon choice, absolutely. And then in 23 EGB's team as well, a super I think a reoccurring pattern that we're going to see a lot in these teams and players in this Duelist event is going to be that Medicham Bastiodon combination for the Duelists. It's super popular, super potent. It's got a lot of bulk, and it really doesn't restrict any of your other options. One of the things that we can notice a pattern across all teams is even when the Psychic typing is not necessarily present in the Duelist, it's also not necessarily present in the remaining Pokemon as well. Certainly one of the least popular typings as far as everything else kind of goes, and Medicham really gobbles up the Psychic and the Fighting spot that aren't really around in a lot of the other Pokemon. When you talk about counter users that aren't in the Duelist slot, Escavalier on Gengineer's team is sort of the highlighted Pokemon. Doesn't eat up that Fighting type either. So Medicham, a really free Pokemon to include in your Duelist slot, and it also just happens to be one of the best Pokemon that you can play in Great League in general. And then down on MasterOllie's side, we see a very common pairing as well, not necessarily in the Duelist, but in the Scrafty and Skarmory combination. Counter user Flyer, a tale as old as time, right? That's those those combinations are good in just about every format you can play, from standard Go Battle League to the most diverse and complicated Silph formats that are available. So we see it on MasterOllie's team. All three of these teams look really, really well balanced. What are we working with over on the Mazerlandogs in terms of team compositions?
Yeah, there's definitely some familiar cores over here. So straight away in Rise to Occasion's team, again, we had that Metacham, really good pick. Doesn't take out too many other picks. In saying that, both Burnobus and Hot Pocket are running either a fighter or a psychic in those last 4 slots. Burnobus has that Toxicroak and Hot Pocket has the Bronzong, but I think they are the exception as opposed to the rule. Maybe fighting types are a little bit more common than psychic types in those slots, especially if you haven't taken a fighting in the Dualist slot like Metacham. But Rise to Occasion running that, like it's just it screams Go Battle League teams to me. Just in Rise to Occasion team, you've got that Pelipper safe swap that is just such a powerful Pokemon in so many of the top GBL teams. You've got that Alolan Marowak, you've got that Skarmory. Stunfisk can work really well, especially up against some of Genginier's Pokemon like that. That Lugia doesn't love getting hit by a lot of discharges. It is pretty bulky though, so no, I'm not that I'm as biased as Pain, but Lugia is quite nice.
Absolutely.
But Burnobus there's got that Frostlass, which is such a powerful Pokemon. Literally anyone who has like pretty much ever battled in Silph is very well aware how powerful Frostlass can be. Also in the in Retro Cup, I think it was Retro Cup that Frostlass ended up being super dominant, super powerful Pokemon. Is going to be a big pain for 23 EJB. It might actually be a case where it can do well against Galvantula, it can do well against Drifblim, Tropius, can do well against Pelipper, Metacham. Bastiodon is the only thing that it doesn't really love in that matchup. Well, not love. It's Bastiodon's the only thing that it hates in that matchup, which could potentially mean that 23 EJB is going to be doing some try and land the Bastiodon in the right spot for this matchup. And Bastiodon is actually not that great up against the rest of it. Like Swampet's not good for it. Toxicroak is really not good for it. I guess Tropius is pretty good, and Alolan Mark is a little bit neutral, but then down to Hot Pocket again, we have that Scrafty Flyer pairing. We've got Scrafty and Mandibuzz this time around, which, as opposed to Skarmory, Mandibuzz is just an absolute bulky machine. It's 5 extra shields for your team instantly by putting it on. And then kind of an interesting set of 4 to pair up with it in the Bronzong, Nidoqueen, Quagsire, and Jellicent. Jellicent is a Pokemon that can do well, can not do well. Again, this is a format in the Duelist Cup where all movesets are published ahead of time, so everyone is already aware of the movesets. So when we see Hot Pockets Jellicent gracing the scene, it's not like it's going to be a question of, do they have Hexo Bubble? Do they have Bubble Beam? Are they going to be able to bait me with here? Do they have Ice Beam Shadow Ball? It's all going to be on the table. I guess a little bit of the same thing with Quagsire, but it's not as important for those matchups. There's always the chance that people are running that Acid Spray Quag, but Hot Pocket especially, I know one of his favorite Pokemon is Quagsire, so I think he has definitely brought that along just purely for the, hey, well, I can, so I will. And Hot Pocket is one of the types of people who does pick Pokemon that he likes to use and uses them whenever he possibly can. So I think we're set up for some really interesting matches coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And just mentioning on the Quagsire pick, I don't see anybody securing wins like Hot Pocket does with this Pokemon in the Silph formats that it's available for play in. And just in terms of the Frostlass lining up against EGJ's lineup, we kind of see maybe a little bit of punishment coming in from that triple flyer lineup. In terms of team compositions, flyers are certainly the most abundant in terms of options available. A lot of those flying type Pokemon do utilize a secondary typing. The only typing I can think of off the top of my head that has quite a plethora of options is Bug, and Bug's definitely not something that's super exciting right now. Maybe knocking on wood for some updates for Bug moves coming in the future, maybe somewhere down the line. But we definitely do see Frostlass lined up for a premium spot against that triple flyer lineup. But the first match, without further ado, we're going to hop into Gengineer against Rise to Occasion. We're going to see how these players build out their teams of 3 to bring into these battles. Like Steve said, the moves lists are published, so we don't need to worry about if Lugia is running Hydro Pump or Aeroblast, if the Elite TM has been used. All that information is public. All that information will be ready for these players to go before we get into the match. So we won't waste any more of your time. Let's hop into game 1.
All right, here we go. Rise to Occasion up against Gengineer. We've got the teams up the top there with the Mazerlandogs on the left-hand side. And we have the Alolan Marowak up against Frostlass, which definitely is for that Fire Spinner. We're seeing the Lugia come in from Gengineer's side. Pain is already going, yes!
Yeah,
We're seeing the Skarmory come in too.
Absolutely, and Lugia versus Skarmory definitely not a matchup to get super excited about. Maybe kind of a snooze fest, but it is nice to see that Pokemon get some use nice and early, and going right for the Hydro Pump.
Do we see the shield? Oh, we see no shield from
Ooh.
Rise. That is going to do a fair... That actually did less damage than I expected it to. These Pokemon are definitely pretty bulky. Definitely got some bulk, even though Lugia is a bit of a pain to get into the Great League, as Payne alluded to before. But we are going to see this Sky Attack go through, letting the Lugia go down, and is then going to be able to bring in that Frostas to be able to farm this Skarmory all the way down. He's going to have to either burn a shield or tank this Sky Attack, which is actually going to be okay. It's definitely going to be able to tank it, but going to keep Frostas healthy, which is definitely not a bad play. And we'll see what Rise brings back out.
Yeah, definitely super important to make sure that you've got some of that energy to go into this Alola Marowak matchup. It is, Frostlass wants to try to not take as many of those fire spins as possible, and it is important to try to get to as close to that parity of double. Ooh, we see a great catch though. That was some very clean counting.
Yeah, I think they were hoping that they might have caught a Shadow
Yeah.
Bone there, but unfortunately didn't quite work out that way. Bone Club still being a decent, well, I mean, a decent enough move to land, but we are seeing the swap out into Medicham, going to be eating up these discharges and keeping that Marowak just ready, waiting for that Frostas to come back out, which it will eventually. The switch timers are pretty decent at this point, but Medicham is going to be getting these super effective Ice Punches off and just letting it come through. This Stunfisk is definitely going to start getting quite low. It's going to be able to get another 2 charge moves off. Actually, going for the Mud Bomb, it may even get to 3 at this point, but Medicham is not going to be taken down by this Stunfisk, I don't believe.
No, definitely not. He can eat these mud bombs all day long. And I didn't quite happen to see if Rise was able to store that Shadow Ball on that Marowak before he swapped out, but I'm almost positive he did.
We're seeing the Psychic, we're seeing Frostas come in, Medicham able to use its Psychic onto the Frostas, getting the last shield, swapping out into the Marowak, throwing the Shadow, and this Frostas going down, and there is that tiny little health on that Stunfisk in the back, but I feel like this is pretty much locked up for Rise, especially because he still has that shield in tow as well.
Yeah.
Mazerlandogs taking the early 1-0 lead.
Yeah, definitely, and a very tight game, and we just saw some amazing counting from both players. Even Rise trying to catch on the Metacham, counting properly if Gengineer was going to throw that mud bomb or that discharge, on energy cap, it would have went right into that Metacham. So great counting by both players, great plays by both players, and Rise taking a fairly commanding win in that first game. But we'll see if Gengineer is able to clap back in the second one.
Absolutely. And we're seeing the Medicham coming back up against Lugia this time. So this is
Best
a
lead
pretty
in the
interesting
game.
matchup. Ice Punch is still like okay, but it's not where it wants to be. So we're seeing the swap out into Marowak, and the swap comes back with the Unova Stunfisk. This is not a matchup that Alolan Marowak likes to be in, because these Mud Bombs are coming out hot and heavy, and this Marowak is wanting none of it. Oh man, look how much damage that did. That is just gross.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see with no early shield here, what's likely to happen is that Rise is just going to be comfortable, soft losing this matchup and trying to get that Stunfisk in a spot where he can come in with another Pokemon and farm safely and try to get a couple charge moves ready to go. Even able to get to a second Shadow Ball there is a Shadow Bone is super nice.
Kind of interesting that I actually got the defense debuff on the last one, which meant that defense debuff was able to bring it all the way down.
Wow.
That literally came down to the buff.
Yeah.
The debuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge.
Wow, and
So now we're
definitely.
seeing...
Yeah, not a matchup that you expect Alola Marowak to be able to walk out of in the zeros for sure. A huge. Ooh.
Oh no. Oh, Rise really going for the recovery after losing. Oh dear, this is not a great spot to be in. This Frostas taking out the Medicham completely. Now Skarmory in the matchup as well, who is not loving it either. Burns that first shield. There's still another 3 shields on the field, but this Frostas is starting to get pretty low here. We're obviously going to see some shields coming from the Frostas side. I can expect that they're both going to burn at both of their shields in this matchup, unless Jangineer can swap out and maybe catch something onto that Lugia. Always a potential option, but we're seeing the second shield come up here.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that we're getting to a point where we're kind of just picking how you want to win the game. It is definitely a very uphill battle for Skarmory to try to climb. And I do think even with hindsight 2020, I think the call to try to catch a bait there was the right thing to do. You've got to try to build some momentum one way or another. In Gengineer, maybe just correctly identifying that Rise is likely in a position where he's going to want to try to build some momentum back. Feels totally comfortable just tossing the Shadow Ball out there and really just locking it up to bring these players to a 1-1 split for their team. So both teams avoiding the 3-0 sweep, which is something that is definitely very, very painful in a format like Unified where every game matters. So not dropping a 3-0, can't be said how important that is. So we got a 1-1 split. We'll hop right into game 3 and we'll see which way that these players can go.
Exactly right. I mean, I'd go to that saying that having a 3-game lead is a lot bigger than having a 1-game lead from a 2-1. But we are seeing this same lead again from Gengineer with the Stunfisk into the Marowak. This is not a great start for the Marowak, but we've seen it get out of here before. The question is, are they going to be able to get the defense debuff on that Shadow Bone? It's the first Mud Bomb, going to let it come through, and let's just find out here. Of course, there is always the option to burn a shield at some point. And that would just hard protect it. And yeah, we're not going to see that debuff come in this game.
No, never twice. And these players are really finding themselves kind of in love with this matchup. We're seeing it, the Marowak and Unova and Stunfisk butting heads, quite a few times in this best of 3 series. And maybe some decisions based around that earlier mutual lag that we saw in the beginning of the game, but this is typically how we would expect that matchup to go without the debuff shenanigans for sure.
Yeah, Stunfisk coming out on top is definitely how we would expect. But Ferrothorn, a pretty interesting pick coming out here, and I think it was mainly to counter this Stunfisk pretty hard, especially still wanting to bring that Marowak from Rise. But we're going to see Mud Bombs come through here. They definitely will start to add up, even though one doesn't do much. They are seriously doing some damage. And Bullet Seed, not a huge damaging move. So even though Ferrothorn has a lot of energy here, Gengineer is really able to put on the hurt on this Ferrothorn, and it's already down to the red. This Stunfisk already took out a full Pokemon, and look how much extra it took out Ferrothorn. That's
huge. Oh, it's amazing. But we do see that Wish Cache in the back line for Gengineer. It definitely wants to try to keep that away from this Ferrothorn as much as possible. So we'll see if how Rise wants to play this, if he wants to try to store some of that energy and switch into the Skarmory. It looks like he's just completely comfortable tossing these mirror shots out, though.
Yeah, and Genji not shielding either of them. Staying cool, knowing, again, movesets published, knowing that they've got Mirror Shot. Genji actually shielding the third one now, wanting to keep this Frostlass around. I'm kind of wondering if we are going to see this swap out into Skarmory from Rise of Occasion, which is going to let Gengineer bring that Whiscash in a little bit more safe. Use it in a spot that is nicer after getting that the first shield out of the Skarmory. So now the question is going to be on Gengineer's side. Do they go for the Blizzard straight away? And the answer is yes. Going straight forward. Are we going to see the shield from Rise? I feel like it's going to go through. Oh, no, we can't.
Definitely a great call on that shield. I mean, definitely, it's certainly just a 50-50 on whether it's going to be a bait or not, but correctly shielding the Blizzard. And I don't know if that might be enough to really lock up this game. Blizzard is not a move that you want to run into a shield, and it is such a huge tempo loss for Gengineer. And down goes that Wish Cache.
Frostlass doesn't have much left, unfortunately.
No, it just gets farmed down before the Avalanche. So definitely a spot where Gengineer really flipped the coin on that Blizzard and really risked it all. We would have seen, likely a completely polar end had that Blizzard landed, had Rise not slammed that shield button last minute. But got the shield, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you, or some variation of that idiom for sure. But either way, Rise being able to clutch that last game out, bringing the scores to 2-1 for Mazerlandogs, and we're going to see how 23 EJB can pull back, see if they can get into a spot where they can try to build some more equilibrium between these games. But we'll hop right into the second match, Burnobus versus 23 EJB.
We've seen Wasted Potential run with the Frostlass, and now it is Burnobus's turn. Unfortunately for Wasted Potential, they're landing the Bastion up against that Alolan Muck as opposed to the Frostlass, which is still not a bad matchup for the Bastion here. You can see how much damage the Smackdowns are doing in comparison to the Snarls. Obviously, Alolan Muck, more of a charge move damaging fiend. But yeah, ideally, you want to get that thing up against the Frostlass. You can see they've got the Pelipper and Medicham in the back, which is not exactly great counters to Frostlass, so we'll see how this game ends up going. Seeing Bastion taking on a lot of hurt from this Alolan Muck, finding throwing some charge moves, but I'm kind of feeling like they need to swap out at some point.
Yeah, definitely. I would feel like they would want to try to. Oh well, I mean,
Ooh, okay.
manages to pick up the muck win. So what do we know? I was about to agree with you wholeheartedly, but I guess 23 EJB playing on a different level, and he brings in that Medicham right away to answer that Swampert.
Yeah, and interesting, we're seeing the Swampert stay in here. It's getting some damage onto this Medicham. We know that we know that Pelipper is in the back, so Swampert actually wants to stay in this matchup and not get there, and then keep that Frostlass for later on. But also, Bastion is still around and on some health, so Frostlass has to be a little bit wary that this Swampert is still a little bit important to it. Maybe they're going to have to get themselves in a chance where they get some energy on the Frostlass, so they can try and take out Bastion with Frostlass, but they're going to take some hurt on the way. Still holding on to both shields on Burnobus's end. We are actually going to see them let the Medicham go down here. So expecting the Pelipper to come out, farm all the way down, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. But that Frostlass is going to need to try to generate quite a big energy advantage if it wants to get anything done against this Bastiodon. Those smackdowns take Frostlass to the clinic pretty fast. So we will see Burnobus lock in some of those shields. Gonna have to lock in the second one here for sure too.
Absolutely, which is really rough. There are now no more shields. Oh no, there's still one shield on wasted potential side. Frostlass does have a lot of energy, but you can see that its health is already draining, almost down to half health already. Going for the avalanche as well, which will do a fair amount of damage, but not enough. Still going to have to get another charge move off, or else we're going to see a smackdown come through onto this Frostlass. Here it comes, energy going through. Will take out the Bastion if they don't shield, which they are not going to. They're going to let Pelipper finish the job.
Yeah, and I do think that this Pelipper is going to have no problems clearing up this Frostlass, especially having a shield ready to go. It's just a matter of getting to that Weather Ball, and we do know how fast Pelipper can charge up those Weather Balls. It's one of the spammiest Pokemon I think that exists in the league, but is able to take out the Frostlass, and then we'll see that. I don't imagine that Swampert's going to be able to get much done either. No, definitely not. And we do see 23 EJB equalizing the score. So bringing it to a 2-2, keeping everything tight, keeping it very, very competitive, and making our jobs quite a bit more exciting. It's definitely more fun to talk about these super, super close team games rather than a complete 7-0. So we'll hop right into the game 2 right away. We won't keep anybody waiting. And we'll see how these players adjust their lineups.
Ooh, we are seeing that one big adjustment from Bastiodon into Pelipper, keeping Bastiodon in the back, but we're actually seeing that Burnobus has swapped
Wow.
Frostlass out. Still has that Galvantula, which is pretty rough against Bastiodon, but he's got the hard Toxicroak counter. So I think Burnobus may potentially want to win Switch here so that they can land that Toxicroak up against potentially a Bastiodon in the back. But there's actually no Bastiodon on the right-hand side either. So we're actually seeing that they might both be playing mind games against each other with their lines of 3 here. So this is going to be a pretty exciting battle. Seeing that Weather Ball get shielded up so they can get the Dark Pulse off. Still both shields on the right-hand side here and deciding to burn neither of them. Pelipper is going to take a bit of a hit there, but this matchup is definitely getting pretty close.
Yeah, absolutely, and I can't help but agree with the mind games. Bastiodon is one of those Pokemon that you definitely expect to see very frequently in these bringing into the team of 3, and potentially. Just some of the bench pressure that can have if you do decide to leave it at home is incredible and can really dictate how the early game plays out because it's something you can't necessarily leave your team vulnerable to.
Yeah, so on the right hand side, they were mad tapping on the Drifblim. I wonder if that was a potential because they were expecting the Frostlass to come in. They wanted to get that Drifblim damage off early as possible. Unfortunately, didn't end up going through, and Galvantula did get that one fast move advantage. But now that we're seeing the Galvantula versus Galvantula matchup, we're able to see that first lunge come through, which is really, really huge in this matchup, and it can really just define the game. And we're seeing the extra
Ooh.
fast move come through from Burnobus's side. That is really, really rough, unfortunately. And it does sort of make Burnobus question, if they've brought Galvantula into Galvantula, do they not have Bastiodon? Have they made a mistake in bringing that Toxicroak in and they are now realizing, maybe I have Toxicroak, famously not a great Pokemon to have up against Drifblim, but actually, whoa, able to land a discharge.
Ooh.
That is pretty huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's being able to switch, had a little bit of mutual lag there to bring this Toxicroak in, even just to try to get something done. We'll see. But it definitely looks like it's going to be an uphill battle for 23 EJB for sure, even with this shield.
Oh, we're actually seeing the Sludge Bomb come through on the Drifblim.
Wow.
I would have thought that Drifblim would be able to get. Wow.
Yeah,
They had two icy wins as well. They could have thrown one icy win, reduced the attack coming in from that Toxstroke, and then potentially could have got to the next one to take it out. Definitely got pretty close to the wire there.
yeah, super interesting. I mean, definitely not how where I had my dollar on how that game to end, but we do see Burnobus pulling off a nice win to keep the advantage over to Mazerlandogs, and we see kind of a pattern developing here, kind of like a win loss, and that will benefit the Mazerlandogs team in the long run. So we will need to see some adjustment made by both 23 EJB and Ollie, Master Ollie, in the third match of the day to try to cobble together some momentum for the Wasted Potential team. But we'll go ahead and
I
hop.
think they're just doing it for our suspense. It's
Yeah,
just
of
for us.
course. Oh, yeah. I made sure I sent everybody a message, and I said,
Yeah.
make sure the games are nice and close, make sure it's nice and fixed. You know how it goes. But we'll hop right into the game three, and we'll see how this one ends up winding up. We'll see if we do see that Bastiodon come back in for 23 EJB.
Ooh. We are going to see the Galvantula mirror this time around. No advantages here. A little bit of desync potentially. It looks like it on the left-hand side, but this mutual lag is presumably going to clean it all up. They're both getting to the lunge, and we are seeing the CMP is going to waste the potential here. So Burnobus has to kind of think here, okay, I'm losing CMP here. That means that they basically get to decide how this matchup goes. How do I want this to go? Do I just want to let my Galvantula go? We are actually, unfortunately, because of the way this matchup goes, by getting that first lunge off and reducing the attack straight away, it does mean that the other opponent isn't as pressured to shield. And I'm assuming we're just going to see Burnobus let this Galvantula go down here. Just take the L. Unfortunately, that is how it is, and going to be able to bring in something to get some farm.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of rolling the dice on the CMP tie. However, being able to pick up some extra farm on Toxicroak is not bad for sure, and we do see that Bastiodon in the back for 23 EJB. So, you know, Burnobus might not know it, but certainly trying to get this Toxicroak out of this matchup and save that for the Bastiodon is certainly going to be the direction that he wants to take, and he does.
Yeah, we're seeing Pelipper unload some energy onto this Alolan Muck, which is not actually a bad... Oh, no, but Burnobus shields. I was going to say it's not the worst thing in the world because it does mean that this Toxicroak would be able to come in earlier, get some energy on the Bastiodon, but by burning the shields, it means they're going to prolong this matchup. Burnobus now knowing the full extent of the position that they are in, having that Toxicroak just locked away in the back, ready to come out against this Bastiodon. Because 23 AJB did wait a little bit to throw the Weather Ball, it does mean that they may be able to get themselves in a spot where they can swap that Toxicroak in, get potentially take the Bastiodon out before 23 AGB is going to be able to swap out. We're just going to kind of wait and see on that front, though. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's certainly a interesting spot to be in. Manages to get. Ooh, that is a great pickup.
That could be big. That could be
Yeah,
big.
absolutely.
Not going to do much. Oh, we are seeing the
That
Pelipper coming.
Pelipper farm is just so big. Definitely Toxicroak does not like eating those fast moves from Pelipper by any means. And I think it's the writing on the wall here. There's certainly no way that Alolan Muck is going to be able to pull this one back from the claws of Pelipper, even with having a shield. It's just prolonging the inevitable, so to speak. We're going to see the other Weather Ball come through here, and that'll be the end. Tying it up. 3 apiece. Mazerlandogs wasted potential. So it all comes down to Hot Pocket versus MasterOllie, and we see a good old fashioned just whoever wins the match wins the match. We don't need any hard 3-0s. We don't need any just win a game, you get the match. We're going to see a good old fashioned best of 3, and whoever can walk away with the best of 3 is going to walk away with the match for their team. So we'll hop right back into the game 3. We won't keep anybody waiting. But Hot Pocket versus MasterOllie. I think that you could even say that both of these players have their money cut out for them. They're both going to have to work for it, but Hot Pocket is certainly a beast in these Show 6 formats. So definitely Ollie's got an uphill battle to climb for sure, and we'll hop right into the game 3 and see if he can get it done for his team.
If I don't see Quagsire, I'm going to be disappointed. But we are in the Scrafty V. Oh, there is Quag, but...
different side, and we actually see no Quag in the back for Hot Pockets. So never mind. We're gonna go ahead and shift the commentary bias directly over to MasterOllie. I will take this as a personal slight. I will take it personally, but this is an interesting matchup.
We saw the shielded Earthquake, which is a little bit unfortunate for Ollie there. And now going to see the going straight for the foul play, which does do a fair amount of damage to the Quagsire. At this point, that Scrafty is going to be able to pretty much just counter all the way down, but actually going to go for the Power Up Punch instead. And MasterOllie not going to shield because they know the Everball's coming and not going to get to that charge move.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nidoqueen being the response here, Scrafty building up some momentum with those power-up punches certainly hurts.
A lot of damage to this Nidoqueen, and actually we're going to see Hot Pocket let the Poison Fang come through. They do have the Mandibuzz and Jellicent in the back. Jellicent, depending on the moveset, if they've got Bubble, it could be a bit of a better time. But we're actually going to see the Foul Play coming through on the Nidoqueen. It looks like Ollie keeping both of their shields for the Scrafty in the back, unless they really want to get this through. But I think they would prefer to get that one counter of farm on the Scrafty, and then whoa, Nidoqueen hanging on by a thread, keeping the energy for later on. Expect to see that charge move come when you least expect it.
Yeah, absolutely, and we see the Jellicent come in here, tossing these bubble beams, trying to get some of the shields off of MasterOllie, but Ollie steadfast, happy to save those for a rainy day for sure.
And a little bit unfortunate for Hot Pocket there, letting the foul play come through. And extra unfortunate is the fact that this Jellicent has Bubble Beam and Shadow Ball, which means that up against Scrafty, kind of against the wall, it doesn't really have anything great to throw. Bubble Beam is the most efficient move it's got, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's very true. Oh, a great catch, though.
See the catch.
Wow.
Catch into Mandibuzz, this is going to do not much at all.
No, barely tickled. Almost less than a counter. And we'll see if this Mandibuzz is able to get it. Oh wow, a great catch too. Maybe really potentially catch, trying to get in. Yeah, losing a lot of energy on that Nidoqueen. Potentially not the kind of catch that we're used to. That's for sure. And maybe trying to swap in and toss one of those charge moves out. Getting that energy, or not energy, but the defense debuff onto the Mandibuzz would certainly go quite a ways in helps of trying to get this Scrafty to help close out the doors. These charge moves here, these aerial aces are going to come out pretty quick, and they're going to force Scrafty pretty hard.
Yeah, it's really just a question of whether this Scrafty can power up fast enough to counter this Mandibuzz all the way down. It actually might. Seeing that power up punch land as well, going to get the last shield out of Ollie here with this Air Slash, but I don't think Mandibuzz is going to be able to get another one off before it's taken out. We're actually seeing this swap out into Jellicent, maybe going for some, you've powered yourself up too much, son. Take that down.
Yeah, we need to bring it back now, y'all, to the left. I certainly think that this is going to be quite an uphill battle for Hot Pocket. The Scrafty being able to take out the Jellicent there, and it'll come down to being able to the aerial ace over. Oh no!
Whoa! No! Oh, he had the power-up punch, too.
Yeah, never mind. What do I know? It was always Pocket's favorite. It wasn't even in question. Wow, definitely a game that we may have expected to go over to MasterOllie there. Had the power-up punch ready to go, the air slash coming through, certainly enough to take out that Scrafty. In order to secure the match win for Wasted Potential, we're going to have to see MasterOllie pull out both of these next two games to lock up the win. Not an easy task, but definitely a game I feel like was he had the answers, he had the doors. It was just a matter of getting to them, so to speak. But Pocket's definitely not somebody that you can leave anything on the table. If there is a win con available, he will find it and he will take it, and he will not ask please. He will have that for himself, no questions asked. So we'll hop right into the game too. Judging, like I said, based on patterns, I'm sure we can expect Ollie to pick up this and then get a nail biter for the last one. But we'll see if Pocket can lock up this game for his team here.
And better bring Quag this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Scrafty lead, not what we want to see.
Not at all. This is really rough. Kind of expecting a pretty quick swap out, and here's the swap in.
There's the Quagsire. So yes. I don't know how MasterOllie is supposed to come back from Quagsire showing up in the hands of Hot Pocket. We'll see here.
Oh dear, this is definitely going to be rough. The Stone is going to do a little bit of damage to that Skarmory, not tons, because Skarmory again is a bit of a bulk fiend. We are seeing the Quagsire and Scrafty in the back on Ollie's side, neither of which are like a great counter. Scrafty is really the best counter they've got for this Quagsire. So I'm a little bit surprised they haven't brought it out there, but this Skarmory is faring pretty well up against this Quagsire, to be honest. And we are seeing some shields go the way of the dinosaurs on MasterOllie's side, go a little bit extinct. But if Quag wants to hang on, it's going to have to burn a shield. This Quag really hasn't done as well in this match as I thought it would have.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And I think that we can sort of determine by the early shield usage from the Skarmory that Ollie was committed to just winning that matchup, or at least putting as big a dent on the shields of Pocket as he could. And we do see Hot Pocket under farming that foul play potentially to try to get some extra farm on the Mandibuzz, if I caught that correctly. So a very, very smart call as well.
It has to burn the shield there, but at the cost of being able to get a little bit of energy there. Unfortunately, Skarmory was able to escape, so it is hanging on back there with a little bit more health, but able to get one charge move off of the Quagsire, and now back into this Scrafty v Quagsire matchup, which again, definitely pretty decent for this Scrafty, but the big Earthquake nuke is coming through, and we are going to see no shield from Hot Pocket. That is really rough. That Scrafty is so low in health now, and that Mandibuzz in the back may be able to clean it up. Skarmory in the back may be able to potentially do a bit of damage to it in the end.
Wow, and we did see another great undercharge there to make sure that Scrafty got an extra counter. Pocket knows how many of these bubbles that he is supposed to click to ensure that he can get the most amount of energy from his Pokemon possible. I said it last time, so I would hate to be the to give the curse again, but certainly an uphill battle for Hot Pocket here.
Yeah, Mandibuzz versus Scrafty is definitely a pretty decent matchup for for Mandibuzz, especially at this point in the matchup where in the last one, Scrafty was a little bit more powered up when it got to this point, so it was able to just put on more hurt instantaneously, whereas it's still kind of in the building up stage at this point. It's still powering its attack up, so Mandibuzz is in a pretty decent spot. There is the chance that MasterOllie swaps and catches a move onto that Skarmory, which could be completely game-changing for MasterOllie there. So it's going to be a little bit of a game for Pocket to throw his charge moves at the right times. You see he's actually banked up to 2 moves already. I don't think this Power Up Punch is going to be enough, and then we're going to see Hot Pocket try and unleash his energy, but the swap is just around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think you're right. I think this is going to be a matter of maybe potentially needing to catch, but if another counter sneaks through here, yeah, that's the writing on the wall, and I think Pocket may be farming up a little bit too much. Even if Pocket was able to get both of those charge moves off back to back, even if a fast move slips through, the Skarmory can come in still in the back, and that's the end of that matchup. So as patterns predict, we've got a 4-4 nail biter game 9 here between a Hot Pocket and Master Ollie. Quagsire's definitely didn't bring his dinner to the dinner table that time. Maybe left it back in the kitchen. So we'll see how these players can adjust their teams. But this is certainly a very, very important game for both players. I won't leave us hanging on it too long. As much as I love cliffhangers, I love watching game threes a little bit more. So we'll hop right into it.
For a start, I'm definitely expecting Scrafty Mandibuzz over there, Scrafty Skarmory over there, and we'll see what they do to fill out the rest. And we are seeing the Scrafties head into the mirror match, and we are seeing both flyers in the back as well. Jellicent on the Hot Pocket side, Quagsire on the right-hand side. We haven't seen Quagsire do too well so far, but we'll see if it can do a little bit better in this game 3. And landing the first power punch onto MasterOllie, which is pretty decent because it means, like, again, getting it off early just boosts your attack even earlier. It means those counters are going to add up. And the fact that MasterOllie actually waited, it looks like there might have been some sort of desync.
Yeah, I was just about to mention, yeah, it looks like Hot Pocket able to get to these power-up punches early here, so potentially some desync at the beginning of the round. There is no matchups that desyncs affects harder than mirror matchups, that's for sure. So certainly hate to see that in terms of Master Ollie's side. Definitely not where you want. You never want the desync, but you definitely don't want it in a Scrafty mirror. That's for sure.
Absolutely not. And we are seeing that the matchup has gone from the Scrafty mirror to the Flyer mirror. Not as much of a mirror this time around because they are very different Pokemon. Mandibuzz, just so much bulk. We're actually seeing the Skarmory went for the Brave Bird, which does do heaps of damage at landing it, which is also huge, but does take that debuff as well. So it has to swap out into the Quagsire. And we are now seeing the back end mirror match, the water mirror match.
Yeah.
This time, potentially in Jellicent's favor, although I'm not certain. What do you think, Payne?
It's definitely a weird one. I do think that Pocket having the shield advantage here is super, super helpful because I really don't think, okay, so Master Ollie willing to just blow that shield on the Shadow Ball right away. That certainly helps. This Stonette, yeah, we'll start demanding the shields from the Jellicent, but the Jellicent is going to be able to get to another Shadow Ball, no problem. And I think a lot of it will depend on how much damage this does. I'm not super familiar with this matchup, but a nice chunk, but I do think that we will be able to see we'll see the Quagsire get to that charge move first. So interesting to see what Pocket decides to do with this last shield, not wanting to invest it here, happy to save it for this Mandibuzz. Pocket, totally comfortable relying on this Mandibuzz in all of these games so far, and it's paid its dividends for sure.
Yeah, we're going to see some bulk foul plays coming through. One was almost enough. He's going to need a few more quick moves on top of another foul play to take this Skarmory out. So having this shield is actually going to be really devastating for Ollie, unfortunately. I think, or it was almost up to 2 foul plays as well. So this foul play may be enough to take out the Skarmory now, or it may just
It'll be
not
very close.
Either way,
yeah, able to get
take
it.
out, and then
The second foul play. Second foul play,
That's,
able to take out that Quagsire. Quagsire, unfortunately, not really doing a whole lot for either of these players here. Not really carrying the business, but Pocket able to clutch that one out. Some incredible Mandibuzz piloting, really knowing the limits of that Pokemon, how much damage he could push. We saw some beautiful undercharges to make sure that he could get those extra fast moves through. It's always good to see a really, really tight set, a really, really tight series between two teams, but it's even better to see players just pulling that extra inch, that really shows how much more that extra, dime on the dollar can really help in terms of shifting the matchup from player A over to player B. And Pocket just expressing his mastery of these Pokemon and the mastery of his team. He's been a huge advocate for this format, in particularly utilizing the double dark duelist combination, and really showing how to make it work. Scrafty and Mandibuzz, I assume they have got to been come in on just about every game that he's played, and it's sort of just who he wants to have there to put the pieces of the sandwich together. But able to pull off a huge win against MasterOllie, able to lock up an incredible win for Mazerlandogs, and like I said, it's always great to get a nail biter set, and as pattern will show, when you go win loss win loss win loss, if it's a best of 9, that'll typically favor the team that pulls off the first win. So never mind Ollie, we can actually thank Rise for that win, for getting the first one. So all on Captain Rise. Love to see that. But we'll go ahead and shift on over to our leaderboards here. This is the leaderboard at the end of round 3. We're about halfway through the tournament. There are 6 rounds, and then there's a small cut to top 4 bracket just to help ease the burden of tiebreakers for prizing. Nobody wants to win or lose money based solely on the win percentage of an opponent. So there will be tiebreakers. They will suck, but at least there's no money attached to it. So we'll have 6 rounds of Swiss, then a cut to the top 4. Taking a look at the leaderboard here, Steve, what are you thinking of the teams that we still have at 3-0 there? It looks like we've got 5 of them. Anybody stand out as early favorites?
Look, I think there's 2 main really big favorites in here, and there is one, Mazerlandogs, as we've just seen, again running 3 of the best 13 plays in the world. Definitely puts you in pretty good standing to stand up really well. I mean, just Burnobus, Rise, Hot Pocket, such amazing battles. Like, I've seen them all battle, and they are just all incredible. So are really going to be a force to be reckoned with from the other 4. Elite Four, also a very powerful squadron. They're really the OGs of Pokemon Go PvP at the elite level. Like, they used to be the best of the best back in even season 1 of Sylph, and they've just continued to be just dominant in the Pokemon Go PvP scene. So I'm really expecting them to have a really good showing as well. The other 3 teams, Vani is one of the best players in the entire world as well. I'm not sure if that's LTS dancing or lieutenants. Let's dancing bunny. Definitely gonna be some strength there as well. Rigoroso's gaming and Team Vaporeon is the most cool. Look, I think Team Vaporeon is probably the most cool name.
Certainly.
I'm kind of pulling for them in the back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited to follow this team as well. As far as my knowledge of players and their feats and their skill. For me personally, Team Vaporeon is the most cool, is the biggest unknown quantity as far as players that I'm familiar with. They've got Neil Armstrong, Alpha Hedonus, and Hot Dog Zero. I do know that Alpha Hedonus is a big content creator over on Twitch, but the other 2 players, at least for me personally, sort of unknown quantities. So I'm really excited to see a team that I maybe wasn't expecting. It feels kind of disingenuous to call them underdogs because what I know and what other people know might be 2 different things. But I think that early on to the tournament, I really expected to see the teams that we do see really running through. But we do have a lot of other very incredible, talented trainers and talented teams falling to the 2-1 bracket. Trio, our round one feature match, they're able to cobble a couple wins together with Dragon Silk, Holden McNuggets, and Nezabethan. But of course, we've got the second roster for Elite Four that they've been able to pull up, the new Task Force Warriors team. Entering, this is I believe, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but the first team event that team is fielding a roster for. And then of course we've got the Super Giants from Japan. So still anybody's game, still plenty of room for any of these teams we see here in this top 20 to pull out for the whole event. But certainly we do see the teams kind of paving the way and making a very strong stride early, and we'll see how the rest of these matches go out. But before we close the curtains on this round 3 feature match, Steve, is there anything else that you wanted to mention?
Yes, I would like to mention that No Fun Pain Done is a fantastic content creator, and you should be subscribing anytime now. The button's right down below. It's free to click. You get to see more of these things come out whenever they come out, as soon as they come out. Hit that notification button as well, so you do get the notification as soon as they come out. And smash that like button.
Yeah, hammer it. Hammer it. Hit the garage, grab the old sledge that's back there, and give that keyboard a smack. Hit that subscribe button. No, if you do love this content, I do appreciate Steve taking the time to come and join this for me. We're on opposite sides of the planet, but he manages to make it work for me, so I'm forever grateful. But please, if you like this content, if you want to see more of the Duelist Cup, if you want to see future unified events, this isn't a one and done kind of thing. We're just getting started. This is kind of the grassroots paving the way, working out the kinks of what I hope is a grander tournament series where we can see more of these incredibly talented battlers, these incredibly talented teams, and get more of these, I promise, not scripted, incredibly close best of 9 games that are coming down to the wire. So thank you so much for stopping by and watching the videos. Thank you so much to Steve for being here with me to get the commentary done. Please like and subscribe. Check out my other videos. Check out the future Duelist matches, and we'll catch you next time. Adios.